Yamama Kwaba, a Samba in Jumedi so. New start Jumedi in a field, the most similar chair we do propose a dream. A real nutrition, a real exercise, a real water. Last month, yeah, sunshine. Sooner 1 year, we are not first in any pediatrics so. Yamaho be possible pediatrics, we are to any pediatrics. In this nation, be different. So that's all questions beyond more. You have it in the comment section or your previous videos. You very responded. And I said, they want to see that. Honestly, you guys are commenting. And maybe I do say, you do temperance. Temperance. I'm just all by you and that kind of fool. Yes, to me more. I did about your title by temperance. See, the Bible here, temperance, I guess temperance again. And I didn't cost you any pedio more. A team boy, my yeah, very temperate. Na temperance, no, a only moral and a biblical one. Does it have a scientific backing to it? Indeed, you better say now what you are saying. Busumi in name, and the Kakabasha City and Kakania Quenimun. Yeah, to your home focus with your MP every Casa. The commonest examples are usually a catching for saying a very cheap, drinking. They are from the Indians as a Naka temperance, you didn't have it get different and already going to be in the above offense in one. They won't check a temperance. Then I was arguing. And you ever had the entire man for Casa, the entire my criteria was that the entire DVM was a woman's unit animal. They could detail into why that is supposed to happen. But today, you better from the beginning. What is temperance? The temperance, I just said. Temperance is a moral and psychological concept that refers to self-control, moderation, and the ability to resist temptation or overindulgence. And the temperance, it has more to do with our morality. It has more also to do with our psychology. We'll be able to mention so a more of interest. So we'll be able to mention you only said there is something going on in the brain that is pushing them to do that. And on the other end, as a Christian, in our moral lives, if you don't have self-control or can't do things in moderation, there is also something that is wrong with it. So as we go ahead of it, we are going to discuss what happens in the brain and why that happens, and also how we can enrich ourselves or we can strengthen ourselves when it comes to temperance. Being able to control ourselves, being able to do things in moderation, getting the ability to resist temptation. All of these come under temperance. Temperance is a practice of self-restraint. If you're able to resist it, it can also be considered as being temperate. And our temperance comes in the beginning, doing things in moderation. We should find the balance when we are doing everything. As Christians, we should look at finding balance. Even when we are correcting people, when we are eating, when we are having fun, everything that we do is supposed to be in moderation, and that falls under what we call temperance. Helps regulate desires and emotions. Your desires, your emotions. So you express your through emotions. No? If you're able to keep them under moderation, and I say to me, I my emotion. And I say, you say, yeah, that is very temperate. And I said, it's me, I can't want a temperance. And being able to do this and being able to be temperate, it is very crucial for our mental health and spirituality. It also helps us to be very responsible as human beings. It's never be if seeing they need to be one minute you may have trouble and get the balance that it needs. So also do also be so to say also drink in a minimum, but also also minimum. Say make Jimmy and heart whatever I say. How far should I go with the actions that I take? Even an emotion, how do I regulate my emotions? And immediately come. The yet was one. You can mention everything that has to do with temperance is also very scientific. The parts of some parts of our brains and some neurotransmitters are getting released. And many can possibly it may happen. So you go a little bit detail into that. You have a plan of standing in but they can't ever facilitate in show you. You'll be a friend nervous system. The nervous system no and a communication network indeed. The cost will need a nervous system in a control. The pain be woman now when I met here. A nervous system no nerves one never transport your command democratic in the say also the nervous system you your central nervous system and your peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system here why the course of why any spinal cord and a peripheral no extended code nipedia kwanina nti may happen wo nipedia no is this peripheral nervous system no and a prompte nipedia na ya mani hono na central nervous system hono yebeka your temperance yebeka ho say it's usually based around our central nervous system and it's some parts of the brain any niema say you be push see any bibi ya kono yebeko e kombedo bibi emotions inside many it happens in our brain and there is a part of our brain a controls anime The first one, yeah, you're about prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex. So head diagram here, what you there to your screen is here. Prefrontal cortex, no, and a what anymore how was the whole blue kakran. What this prefrontal cortex does is it helps with decision making. To be able to make a decision, usually they use the prefrontal cortex because the honor would you name to make that decision. And impulse control. So you see no person responding right there and there. A prefrontal cortex, and a PFC, and then a stop you, a limit you, a boa to be making the right decision because it thinks of the consequences of what would happen. They are very essential in decision making and making actually the right decisions. And it also helps in delayed gratification. On say you move hard, you be seen up so yeah. Frontal cortex in a chair say, and I said the apostle said who be answer. Who say we be ya when you bet home, but if you know when you to tobo, you hear the answer no it is this prefrontal cortex that puts us through that. Now example power could say so person di junk food. Na once you say and most of the junk food, if you go to KFC, you go to onion fries near there, you are not supposed to. It's the prefrontal cortex that will prompt you say and most of the in the told you on Tantasa and in the sense that when you know what is right, the prefrontal cortex makes sure it resists you from now it creates a delayed gratification. So better was a as situation as an baby. So for us to be very temperate, the prefrontal cortex plays a very big role in us making the right decision. And your BBFN or anterior cingulate cortex, even a friend ACC. Now what this does is and the boy might detect error. So this part of your brain and the say we must be so it helps in detecting error and emotional regulation. So when you be it is this part of the brain that controls when you so for you to be very happy, for you to be very sad, angry, all of this that part of your brain and the control with some neurotransmitters and a conflict monitoring. So why do you want to tell me it is the part of your brain that helps. It helps you become aware of when you are about to act on an impulse or adjust your behavior accordingly. To this pattern and a boy and the peripheral PFC a boy Emma eating adjust your to suit what we are supposed to do. There is also a part of our brain, a course reward. There is this brain's reward system. What this reward system means is it's responsible for pleasure, it's responsible for motivation, it is responsible for reinforcement of behavior. It drives you to seek food, drives you for social connection, or more drugs, and so it drives them. But temperance and this prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain I mentioned, I want to boil a regulative for food, drugs, even sex, and it's the brain's reward system actually acts in a way to motivate you, or into your motivation. If your prefrontal cortex your motivation is usually to do the things you know you're not supposed to, because the prefrontal cortex and anytime part of the brain and make a more regulated. So if it is not functioning the way it is supposed to, usually you go overboard with the decisions that you make. And part of your brain is your friend ventral tegmental area, your friend VTA. Now VTA and it produces dopamine. Into your motivation as me dopamine maybe I release and the boy and motivate my energy pushy and see this dopamine and a boy making so many decisions because the boy gets us excited, and this is released from what we call VT and our ventral tegmental area. It sends dopamine to various brain regions during pleasurable and rewarding activities, and it's always been when kahunu say VTA and release sa nyame egu mojema na onipadua mu ma ekose say ni je motivation so beto so why say wudi agro say dia woni age awosa say didi mpo ye num bibi that part of your brain no na eboa ma ekwe motivate you set was so na ye and your baby a friend nucleus accumbens and the central hub of the reward system. And what this does is it activates the dopamine and is responsible for feelings of pleasure and reward. It's what makes you crave sugar, social media, and risky behaviors. So obey addicted to say monkey kitty at this part of our brain, no, and they push you say ube craving, they push you say basically something that makes you happy, because dopamine is supposed to make you happy. And a lot of people that get addicted is because this part of your brain pushes them more towards those stuff. And if your other parts have going into PFC or ACC usually you go overboard with some decisions that you make because you just want to pleasure yourself and give yourself that reward. Will be feeling okay. See, as strengthen your temperance. There are some things that we can do to help us make right decisions, and to help us do things in moderation, to help us not be compulsive or impulsive. We can meditate and pray. It strengthens our prefrontal cortex and emotional control. or bumpire no meditating, it puts them in a state where they are able to assess situations in a proper way, be able to rely on some greater spirits to help, and as a deity to help, which is another way. We are very, so we are very morally disciplined, be able to assess situations in a right manner and make right decisions. And to strengthen your temperance, then you need prayers and you need meditation as Christians. And also, to be able to strengthen it, there are another ways also to help or delay your gratification. To be okay, we hear who say, and also be a didi. Some people they eat in between meals, and also go have no didi. No go on so didi be. So you have to try things like fasting. Delay gratification be so we need scalp so to wedding. But for you to be able to acquire this temperance that we are talking about, or strengthen your temperate system, you have to be able to control all of these things. So also say so you have to fast sometimes. And now a bread also be also shopping but you realize that you don't manage your money as you're supposed to. And so to be able to help be temperate, you have to delay this gratification of having the animal or shopping, make plans for that. And if you're able to make plans, it helps build your temperance. And we are also looking at every aspect of your life, not just food, but money management, even with your friends, how you pick friends, how you treat your friends. All of these, they are not for when it's a responsible person or the money now. If you have a delayed gratification to things, you not just burst out and say something. You make sure you help the prefrontal cortex to make the good decisions. And I help with things, and so Ubi on pen like you plan on sleeping on time, dieting ubi be brain so bit practice dieting obeto obi and so be also the regular exercises I never quite for be brain pass the stories and things but if you know once you didn't said that there is a part of the brain ACC detect error. If you know there is some part of your life that is not and see, and I say, whenever you realize that you are supposed to make plans to make sure those parts of your life are fixed. And if you can, you need a whole holistic body into you're working with our plans in a boy, and you're able to regulate your stress and now when you have a proper health routine. And also accountability and reflection also helps with temperance. We generally are now about or urges any kind of and how to regulate it. If you're able to accept sesame, me pay diane, me pensa, when you're addicted to drugs, maybe you say, when you take the accountability and realize that you're not supposed to, that part of your brain starts getting strengthened, and then you're able to make right decisions because you've realized your wrongs and you'll be able to take steps in making them right. And yes, you who said, temperance, a moral and psychological concept. Inti, you Christus Mababum, you self-control, you hear so. Yeah, I didn't know, I didn't know prefrontal cortex, any ACC, manage your emotions. Make good decisions. As I say, as a VTA, baby, dopamine gets activated, and dopamine production, dopamine is no bomber energy. It's a very addicted that usually is because he feels he has a dopamine. You're saying, and yes, you say, see, bit more strengthen your agony, if you see a empire, a year, or see a set routine by your health. Your diet and near there. Also, you're accountable to, you're very accountable with the things that we do, accepting that we are at fault, we are wrong, and we need to make some changes. The matter so much about the Bruce say, you say, this in next week, be free. Next week, you didn't trust also ever bring the best of the kind of side. Go have said, if you ever saw or see the boss in a home pay, or questions and answer contribution, you so put in the comment section. You bear my feedback. Meaning, it's your